This is Dawn Fraser from Living Your Best Life at 60, and today we're going to be making pecan coffee cake. It's been a while. We have 9 grandkids and it's summer and there's always something to do, but I'm so happy to be back here cooking with you. We're going to need 2½ cups of flour, a ½ cup of brown sugar, a cup of heavy whipping cream, a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of vanilla, a teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 cup of butter, 2 eggs, 1 cup of sugar, and a ½ cup of pecans. So let's get started. We're going to preheat our oven to 350 degrees and we're going to grease our pan. I'm going to use oil. You can use butter or cooking spray. I'm just going to spread this across with my hand and making sure that I get the sides because we don't want our pecan coffee cake to stick to our pan. I'm going to take our prepared pan and set it aside. We're going to start by making our streusel. I'm going to take half of my butter, 1/2 cup, and I'm going to put it in a bowl and stick it in the microwave to melt it. And I'm just going to start with 30 seconds. While I'm waiting for the microwave, I'm going to mix my dry ingredients. I'm going to take a ½ cup of my flour, and I'm going to use a knife to make sure it's level so that our cake turns out right. We're going to mix it together with a ½ cup of brown sugar. And we're going to mix in ½ cup of our pecans. And a teaspoon of cinnamon. I'm going to mix these together with a fork. It smells really good. You can smell the cinnamon. Now I'm going to get my butter. And it is nice and melted. I'm just going to pour it on top. And completely mix this in. Oh man, that looks amazing. You want to keep mixing it until all the dry ingredients are dissolved. And here we go. Look at that. Smells really good. We're going to set that aside and work on our dry ingredients. Now we're going to mix together our dry ingredients for our cake. We're going to take 2 cups of flour, 1½ teaspoons of baking powder, a ½ teaspoon of baking soda, a ½ teaspoon of salt. We're just going to whisk these together. We're going to take our dry ingredients and set them aside and work on our wet ingredients. We're going to mix together our sugar and our butter. And I'm going to take my butter because we need softened butter. I'm going to stick it in the microwave. I'm going to stick it in the microwave this time for 15 seconds. I'm taking my ½ cup of softened butter and my cup of sugar. And I'm going to mix them together until the sugar is completely dissolved. Some technical difficulties. Now we're going to add 1 egg at a time. Now a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm going to pour our cup of heavy whipping cream into a bowl. And the reason I'm doing that is because we're going to be mixing our dry ingredients and our heavy whipping cream into our wet ingredients a little bit at a time. I'm taking a little measuring cup just to pour some of this in at a time. There's no exact measurement. I'm just throwing some in a little at a time and mixing it. All right. It's time to stick our batter in our pan. We're going to take half of our batter and put it at the bottom of the pan. We're going to use a spatula to spread this across the bottom. Okay, that looks nice and even. Now we're going to take half of our streusel, and we're going to use our hands to sprinkle this on top. And it sounds funny that we're sprinkling it because it's not like a dusting, but the fact is this, if we spread it across, it's just going to move your batter all around. It's going to break it in pieces and drop it onto our batter. You want to try to evenly distribute this across the top. It smells like candy. And now my hands are nice and sticky, so I'm going to go wash them before I put the rest of the batter on top. This is how it's looking so far. I'm going to scoop the rest of my batter on top. I'm going to take my spatula and spread this evenly across the top. Okay, I've covered all that streusel. Now we're going to take our remaining streusel and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to drop it on top in pieces, trying to make it as even as possible. Okay, do a little bit of moving it around. And remember, this is going to melt into your cake, so it may have spaces right now, but it's not going to be so patchy. So this is how it looks. I'm going to wash my hands before I put it in the oven. It's time to put our pecan coffee cake in the oven. We're going to bake this for 35 to 40 minutes. You'll want to test it with a toothpick and make sure the toothpick comes out dry to know that it's done. I've taken my pecan coffee cake out of the oven and look at this. This looks amazing and smells delicious. We're going to let this cool completely on a cooling rack before we cut and serve. Our pecan coffee cake is ready to serve. This looks amazing. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like and subscribe. Thank you for cooking with me.